Sharpologist.com.
Hi, Mantic59 here at the Maggard's meetup in Michigan, and I'm with Rod Lovin with Stirling Soaps. Thank you for meeting me, and thanks for coming to the Maggard's meetup. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Rod, can you give me a little background on you and Stirling Soap, how you kind of got started, where you came from in this?
We concocted the idea for the company in 2011. We were basically looking for something to fill our time in the evening. Basically, it was going to be a hobby, and we might sell on the side just for some extra money. My wife was still working in IT for a government contractor, and I was still on active duty in the Army at the time. So I was stationed at Fort Hood. She worked at Fort Hood. We were basically just looking for something to keep us from sitting around being lazy and watching TV at night. So that blossomed into what it is today. We initially started with just bath soap, and then I was a wet shaver at the time, so we moved on into shave soap because I thought I could make a better soap than what I was using, and I did. It took a few iterations, but we got there. But in 2013, I left active duty, and Mandy, 1 month prior, her job had went away due to defense budget cuts, so it was sink or swim at that point. The company was our only source of income, and for 2 years, give or take, it was a tremendous struggle. We nearly gave up numerous times, but I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we've stayed where we're at. We've continued to expand our line. We have a small number of employees now. We've just recently expanded our shop, so we've got what we think is a legitimate business, and I'm hoping to do this until it's time to retire and pass it on to my son.
Terrific. So Stirling Soap is now a full-time business for you.
It is full-time, all day, every day, typically at least 6, if not 7 days a week.
Wow. And how many employees do you have now? That's new.
We have currently 2 full-time employees as well as 5 part-time employees. And we're actually looking to add a couple more part-time employees because where we live, it's a very small, very rural area. It's difficult to find good help, which that's anywhere. You're going to have trouble finding good workers anywhere, but
you're in rural Arkansas.
Yes, we are in the middle of nowhere. We have one neighbor that we can see, and then we live on a ridge, so we've got visibility of about 15 miles, and you can see nothing. There's no more houses. So finding someone that's willing to make the drive out in the middle of nowhere to work for us can be difficult. The business is actually, we have a separate building. It's a building about 150 meters from our house, but it is co-located with our property, and like I said, it's out there.
So being in the middle of rural Arkansas, can you kind of walk me through your development and marketing process or manufacturing process? I mean, how do you get things going in that kind of setting?
Well, when we initially started, when we were still in Texas, we started the company when we were still in Killeen. They're outside Fort Hood. We were working out of our garage, and then as the company grew, we were manufacturing in the garage, and we moved shipping operations and packaging operations into our spare bedroom in our house. We moved to Arkansas in 2014 to be closer to my family in August of 2014, and at that point the entire operation was housed in our master bedroom. So Mandy and I slept in the guest bedroom and the entire operation for about a year and a half was completely contained in our master bedroom. But as we continued to grow, that became something that was no longer an option. It was just too cumbersome. It was slowing us down, and it was hurting the development of our business. So we had a steel building on our property that we cleaned up, had insulated, put walls on the inside.
Oh, so the building already existed.
The building already existed, but it was being used for the previous owner of the house to work on tractors.
I see.
So it took a lot of work to get it to where you could actually make shave soap in there. Mm-hmm. And that worked for about a year. And as we continued to grow and we started bringing on employees, even that became too small. So in January we started a 660 square foot expansion on the shop which was completed about 4 weeks ago. We moved into that just to give us some breathing space. We had a video on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, of giving a tour of our facility prior to the expansion,
and I will link to that video on this video.
The feedback was, this makes me claustrophobic just to watch it. So it's really nice to have that done and to realize that 6 years into this business, we're still growing. Every year we've shown growth, and I'm confident that 2017 will be growth as well. I'm really pleased with how far we've come, and I think there's quite a bit more to go. There's still millions of people that don't even know what wet shaving is, and that's the job, is to reach them and try to pull them away from what they're currently doing.
Okay. Well, you've talked a little bit about the manufacturing process, but let's talk a tiny bit about your creative process. You've got obviously some scents that are unique to the niche. How did you kind of come about that inspiration?
Well, a lot of them are single note scents. A good portion of our product line is single note scents, things that just in essential oil form just smell wonderful, or they're just like, even if they are a fragrance oil version of it, the sandalwood. A sandalwood is just a standard portion, and then we have some that are basically cologne dupes, or they may be an homage to an old scent or something that is popular today that may be out of the price range, or there's not a shaving soap version of it. And then we also have a line such as like the Glastonbury, Gatlinburg, and scents like that, the Ben Franklin, that are just scents that I myself go in there when I have spare time and mix, basically. Just experiment. I love to go in there into the shop and experiment with fragrance and essential oils and see what I can come up with. I've studied perfumery since we started this business. I read everything I get my hands on about it, which I'm still a poor amateur at it. But nevertheless, we've been able to create that way a few scents, and most of them are just based on my personal preference. For my own creations, it's something that I'll tinker with for months and months at a time, and then finally I'll hit something. Like with the Stirling Gentleman, I think I worked on that for close to 2 years. We had people requesting a tobacco scent, and I kept trying to make something complex and just multi-layered and fantastic, and in the end we boiled it down to 4 notes, and it works. It's one of our best sellers and just a beautiful scent. So it's
wow. Okay.
Quite a few different ways we come up with the scents.
Okay. Well, speaking of your scents and products, what's your most popular product?
Executive Man by far. That's our most popular scent across all product lines.
And how would you describe that scent?
It's based on, in 2 words, smoky pineapple, but it's based on the cologne Aventus by Creed. It's just a fantastic scent. The cologne it's based on is absolutely wonderful, and I think we've made a really good rendition. It's not a clone by any stretch, but it's close enough that if you shave with Executive Man and use Executive Man aftershave and follow it with Aventus, it's going to pair up nicely. And the Executive Man will stand on its own as well as a fantastic scent.
Okay. All right. What's your favorite product?
Right now it's summer, so I'm using Island Man. We have so many scents, and we honestly...
You do? How many scents do you have? You got a lot of scents.
At any given time, we've probably got about 50 on the shelves. Too many. It's too much. Mandy and I make every product, so it's too much to handle. But, I mean, we only have around 24 jars of any scent at any given time. That's a batch. 24 jars, 10 pucks, and 20 samples is a single batch, and so it's not like we have 500 jars of every scent. But along with that, having that much of a variety, I like that much of a variety in my shave. So I typically go seasonal. Mandy allow me to have 6 or 7 different shave soaps and 1 ounce samples of the aftershave in the medicine cabinet at any given time. So new season comes up, I start making the new soaps. All the old stuff either gets tossed if I've used enough, or I give it to somebody who can use it, and then the new stuff goes in the cabinet. So, But right now, Island Man.
And how would you describe Island Man?
It's another Creed inspired scent. It's based on Virgin Island water, and it's just a fantastic scent. It's coconut, meat, lime. The name escapes me now. It's not a straight coconut smell, but it's got hibiscus and other florals in it. It's just a really well crafted scent, and it stands on its own, but at the same time, it would really mix well with anyone who does actually have the Virgin Island water cologne.
Okay. So what's next for Stirling Soap?
Well, we've got a to-do list about 10 pages long of customer requests and product lines that people would like to see us expand in. We've been working on shampoo bars since we left Texas. We just never have had the time to fully finish the formula and get them out there to customers. We've also been working on deodorants, but again, one thing that we've learned, some of our mistakes in the past early on, is don't put a product out to market until it's 100% ready. So a lot of times we end up kicking the can down the road, so to speak, with some of these products, just to make sure that we're putting out something that's market ready and customers aren't buying a beta. It's just not something we want to do with our software. But near term, we're preparing to introduce bore brushes.
Okay.
We're trying to get something, in the $6 to $7 range, just to give people on a budget another option. And also, we've been working on stainless steel razor heads to go along with our custom stainless razor handles. It's just, those are so much more expensive than I think a lot of people realize. So getting them done for a small company like us just getting the handles out there was a huge capital expenditure. Getting the heads is going to cost us about twice as much, so it's taken a bit longer.
Well, that kind of actually leads into my last question: is based on your business to date, how do you see the market in the next 12 months or so? Do you see it leveling off any? Do you see it still expanding?
No, I honestly don't think we've seen the boom yet.
Really?
I really don't. I thought we had 2 years ago, and I told Mandy, if we can sustain this, we'll be a successful business. And then the Christmas season from 2 years ago hit, and then this past September through Christmas was just an absolute growth like nothing we could have possibly expected. And talking to some other artisans and talking to some other vendors, it seems to be industry-wide right now. I don't think that we've even hit the tip of the iceberg for where this can go yet. At some point, we will see a plateau and it'll level off, because you can't rely on hobby collectors your entire life. At some point, 300 soaps for one person is going to be too much. So what we're hoping to do at some point is reach it to that point where you're getting the average shaver who has maybe one brush, one razor, and a soap at a time. If we can get those people next, then you'll see the point where we really see rapid growth, and then the plateau after that. And that right there, I think, is the sustainable business model, not only for us, but for the entire wet shaving industry. Being able to reach the guy who isn't gonzo about getting every limited edition or every new scent, just wants something to shave with, but is tired of Gillette and Schick and something that they're spraying out of a can.
Yep. Okay, great. Well, thanks for your time, Rod. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much
for coming to the meetup, and hopefully we'll see you next year too.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Mark, otherwise known as Mantic59, and my channel is all about what your father didn't teach you about shaving.